just about really knowing your why, and when you know your why, how to really tap into your giftings as it relates to um, just being confident in what you know you should be. Because sometimes we're not always confident in things like that. But welcome to Wednesday again. With
Welcome.
Jay and Natalie, and we're
Hey.
excited to talk about what we're talking about today.
Yes, we're so excited. Listen, it has been a trying week and a wonderful week
Yes.
at the same time. You know, anytime you're planning an event, anytime you're trying to bring a large group of people together on one
Mm.
accord, no matter where it is, how it is, there's always going to be some kind of obstacle, especially when you know you have been called by God to do it. So, but it is going to be well worth it. We are so excited to be. I'm gonna be flying out on Friday night. I'm gonna get in there late Friday and all day Saturday be at the Boss Up boot camp. I'm so excited to be with Chef Jay in person and all the other speakers as well as the entrepreneurs. Look, I am a person like I like basketball. I don't love it, but when my husband takes the kids and I to a basketball game, something comes over me. I'm just like, yes, acting crazy, like all in everything, even though I'm not like the greatest or the biggest fan because of the environment that you're in. And
Mm.
that's what we're trying to create, or that's what we are creating with this Boss Up Bootcamp. Getting other entrepreneurs in the environment, getting them motivated to move forward in their call in the marketplace. It is a
Oh yeah.
treacherous thing being an entrepreneur. Like it's hard, it's difficult. It is wonderful also, but you need other like-minded people to help you stay the course because every other day
Mm.
you want to quit. I don't want to do this no more.
That's true, and I think that's the part about entrepreneurship which is so dope. Where, uh, like there, like last week was very trying, but it worked out because what I've learned to do as an entrepreneur is to learn from my mistakes, pivot and grow. Because sometimes what it is not that you're not successful. It's just that you have to reevaluate what success is in this season because you're not going to always reach all your goals, but sometimes your goal needs to be altered to really be where you need to be at. So, like this whole boss up thing, it started in a whole other city, but it was not meant to happen there. It was meant to happen where we're doing it now, and we just pivoted. When you know how to pivot, you start to prosper. So, a lot of things that happen in life is not about what didn't go well, but what did you
Mm.
learn in the process of what's not going right?
Wow.
And it's so exciting because I had this conversation with two of my good friends today, and just the fact that other people are going through what I'm going through and they experience the same thing, but we're all
Mhm.
pivoting at the same time. It's just a good feeling because sometimes it's like you're alone. When you're going through stuff as an entrepreneur, sometimes in dating, whatever you go through it alone sometimes, but it does not mean you're really alone because other people on the same track as you going and pushing forward and making it happen. So just know you're never alone.
That is so good. That's so good. And you know what? It's not just creating the environment, but we're also creating a community. And I
Yeah,
love the fact that you say you are not alone. Like when
yeah.
you experience failure as an entrepreneur, you begin to think that, especially when you experience consecutive failure after failure
Yes.
after failure, you begin to think that you're the failure, that you're the problem, that you're not meant to be in
Mhm.
entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And that's not always what it is. If we take failure and look at it the way that it's supposed to be looked at, like failure is the definition is not being able to accomplish a specific goal or a task. It's a noun. It is not an adjective describing someone and who they are. It's
Mhm.
something that happens. And once you put it into that perspective and you realize, okay, I missed the mark, I didn't attain the goal that I have, how can I pivot from this? What lessons
Yeah.
do I need to learn? What do I need to do better that I did not do the first time? And sometimes you don't know that stuff until you actually implement something. Like you
Yeah,
don't
that's true.
try, so you don't fail and you think, oh, it's wonderful. No, you have to actually try and fail sometimes to see that, okay, there's a better way, there's a better system, there's something else that I need to be doing to see the success that I know is mine.
And that's smart what you said about systems. Sometimes you don't succeed because you don't have systems in play. Even too with this whole boss of boot camp, I'm finding better ways to be a better promoter. Because to reach different people,
That's
you have to do
good.
something different. You can't do the same thing. Like usually I can win people in with food, but now we're talking about promoting motivation and success. And
Yes.
now, like, so when it comes to food, right? It's easy to promote food because people see it. Oh, I know I'm gonna get a delicious meal. But when you're promoting something like motivational entrepreneurs or success,
Mhm.
everybody's definition of success is different from yours. So some people might be successful by just having a loving family. Some people's success is, hey, I want to have $1 million in my account. So everybody's level of success is different. So when you are putting something like this together, such as the Boss Up Boot Camp, you got to make sure you appeal to people and their needs. And
Mhm.
as entrepreneurs, that's what our goal is, to appeal to people and what they need. And that's why sometimes when it comes to having sales about stuff, you're not reaching your audience. So sometimes the failure happens
Mm.
because you're not actively reaching your audience. Like, what does my audience need in this moment? What does my audience need from me to really for them to buy into me?
So you touched on something that I am talking with my community about right now, and it's market research.
Mhm.
Like, and I loved how you talked. Oh my gosh, you said that you're becoming a better promoter because you're now looking at the needs of the people, and that's what I failed at when I first came into entrepreneurship. I thought
Mhm.
because I had a call on my life, God called me to this thing. I had everything that I needed, and although essentially I do have everything that I need, it's only in seed form. I have
Yeah,
to now water that thing. And so
good.
applying principles like actually doing market research and going out into the market and saying, is this what the customer actually wants and needs? I have a gift, but how is my gift tapping into the needs of the market? Surveying the land. That's what I tell a lot of my clients. Survey the land. If you're called to something,
Mhm.
actually look at what other people are doing in the business. I know people are like, you don't want to look at your competition because you're the only, oops, I got all
You got a lot going
excited.
on over there.
You the
You
only
got excited
competition.
on Instagram. You got excited right there.
You're the only competition you have, but you really have to survey the land. Look at the
Mhm.
market that you're entering. A lot of people always talk about coaching is such a saturated market. It is. However, you have the ability to stand out if you know what the baseline is. What's the
Yeah.
baseline when it comes to coaches? What are the average coach doing? Then you decide, okay, I know what the average coach is doing. Everybody is showing up like this. Everybody is doing something like this.
Mhm.
How am I positioned uniquely to stand out in a market where everybody is looking the same? If everybody's looking the same, if it's saturated, then there's something that I can do, tweak a little bit differently. So I'm now showing up a little bit differently. Now I'm standing out. Now, when I speak, my voice is being amplified even more because I'm in such a saturated market. So the way that we're looking at it has to shift before we can
Yeah.
actually see what needs to be seen.
And you know what's good? What you said? Yeah, I love that. Be authentic. That's such a really good thing about what
Yes.
you said. Be authentic, because what happens too is when you try to perfect something that's not you and market to other people, people can always spot a fake. If not right then and there, they'll find out the fake. So everybody is given different gifts and talents. Some of our talents look alike, but it's always something about you that's going to stand out. What I realized about me is a long time ago. What's up, Nicole from Canada? What happens
Hey.
is when you are trying to build a brand or build a system, what happens is you try to look like, oh, well, this person did it this way. Okay, let me add this one. Oh, wait, I'm watching this person now. Oh, they did it this way. All right, cool. This coach did it this way. Let me add this. It's to the point where
Mhm.
it's everybody else on you but except you. So
I say
what
you look like
I learned to do
Frankenstein.
is once you start to perfect you, once you take time to learn and grow and say, hey, you know what? This is Josh. This is who I am. How do I make myself marketable by still being me and give it into the world? What happens is too is when you start to become a copycat or you start to reflect other people, you have to find ways to always be you. And sometimes that's hard in such a world that's like so saturated because of Instagram. You know, with Instagram,
Mhm.
like you look at this person, with that person, this person got this many follows. Let me try what they're doing. This person got this, and everybody has a blueprint, right? The
Everybody.
thing about blueprints is you got to look at how does this apply to me. I can look at something that you did, but how does that apply to me? Once you start to take time to break that down, you become the most authentic version of you.
Mhm.
What happened is when I focus on Josh, I realize my sales go up. So my
Mm.
something the other day, right? People think that working makes money, but ideas make money. Dr. Stacia Pierce said the other day, she said, listen, the more ideas I have, the more money I make. Work is cool, but work is never going to be enough. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to learn how to take the ideas, your God given ideas, and then put them to work. Let your ideas
Mm.
work for you. When you start to let your ideas work for you, you become the backseat driver and you let God drive. When you're trying to drive without no GPS direction, you're all over the place. Like when I'm driving
Mm-hmm.
on GPS and I don't know where I'm going, I got to turn left,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Listen.
No, when I allow God to be my driver and his ideas are my GPS, and I just start saying, let me type this idea, let me see where it leads. All right, God, you leading here? Let me type this idea you gave me about this. Okay, let me let you lead here. Because once you start being led by God and you allowing um, this that you allow this guide to lead you into where you need to go, you start to see that your ideas will always lead to resources. Let your
Mm-hmm.
ideas allow them to manifest for
I love that. Let those ideas be your GPS. I do. That's so good.
you.
Huh? Oh, I be trying to put on mute just had no echo. But I love I love that you said that let the ideas be the GPS. And a lot of the times when because we do have some people that don't want to let that happen, and we
Yeah,
do have some people that let all the ideas be a GPS. They got 75 different ideas, and it's
yeah,
like trying to go to 75 different places at the same time. You want to put in California and New York and Los Angeles and you know what I mean, Las Vegas and everything all at one time. And it's just like you can get to all those places one
at
destination
a,
at a
at a
time.
time.
So
That's
I can
good.
go to New York first and then I can go to California, and then I could go to Las Vegas, but I can't go to all of them at the same time. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
where I come in as a visionary to visionaries. I understand how tough it is to have a million ideas running through your mind
mhm,
and then being like, "Ugh, I'm a failure because I'm not implementing any one of them." But you really have to get grounded on who you are as a person on your call, first of all, to the marketplace.
yeah, that's
Why
good.
do I feel I'm called to this? One of my favorite books is Start With Why by Simon Sinek. He is a Canadian, I think Canadian, but he's an amazing entrepreneur and author. And he talks about starting with why. Why do you want this? What is the call
Yeah,
on your life first and foremost? And let your why, your purpose, be the
yeah,
fuel to your engine. Let it be the motivating factor. I love to see people. When I start thinking about it, I love to see people operate in their best selves. I love to see when they get the light bulb goes off in their head
mhm,
and they're like, ding, I got an idea. I think this is going to work. And what I'm positioned to do is help people get those dings more often and more quickly. That's what I
yeah,
would say. More quickly, because sometimes it takes a long time. You're muddling through your thoughts and you're trying to figure out,
mhm,
well, I have all these thoughts going on. How do I get focused?
yeah,
And I put out a Instagram stories, and I'll go back to that later. But I was just asking a question: how many of us get tired of thinking? There's so many thoughts that are running through our minds. There's so
mhm,
many amazing ideas that keep going through our mind, and we just get worn out by our thinking. That's a trick of the enemy. That's the enemy coming to use your thoughts against you, because he knows that if you have so many, that you won't implement any, and it physically wears out on you. So what you have to do is capture those thoughts. Say,
yeah,
okay, this is the first idea that I have. Write it down. Flesh out
mhm,
everything that you want for that idea. If you have another idea, write it down. They're going to come. Put them on paper so that you don't lose them. And then look at your ideas and say, which one do I feel the most motivated to start, and start there. And you'll
that's
start
good.
seeing, and start with a finish in mind. Don't
Yeah,
start and say, "Oh, this don't work out. I'm gonna add this other idea." No, start with a finish in mind. Where do
that's
I
good.
want to go when if I start the podcast? In order for me to add on something else, I have to do this podcast weekly for 6 months. That's
Yeah,
how you set goals that you're going to accomplish.
yeah, that's
That's how
good.
you stop going from idea to idea to idea. You put a boundary around that thing. After 6 months of doing it consecutively and consistently, now I'm allowed to add another idea on my plate.
That's good. That's good you said it because I think a lot of times too, because I'm like the idea king. Like, once I get the idea, I'm running with it. But what I've learned too is just like the idea will lead you to prosperity, it'll lead you to happiness. But like you said, with each idea, write it down and create a vision for it. So for
Yes.
example, and I said this last like a few times back in 2013, the vision came to do private dining.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to make it work for 6 months, but I know it wasn't the right time because what happened was in 2016 I got released to do it, and it was effortlessly. But what happened was I started to buy stuff for my property for my location I have now. So every single pay period, I invested into the idea, but
Mm-hmm.
it didn't fully launch out to 4 years later. So what I realized that when you're coming up with different ideas and when ideas are coming at you, they're all great ideas. But let me
Mm-hmm.
write it down. Let me see the finish in mind for this idea. So my idea of
Come
a Filipino
on.
chef, I wrote it down. I created a plan for it. Then I launched it. In 2017, I said, hey, I want to travel more as a private chef. I wrote it down. I created a plan. So when 2020 hit and everybody was staying local, I'm literally on the plane almost every single week to go
Yes.
cook for somebody. But I wrote the plan. I wrote it down in 2017. I created action steps toward it. I didn't jump right into it because it wasn't right for it. Some ideas are meant for you to sit and ponder on it and say, okay, let me work this plan out. And sometimes you could already have one plan already in action because
Mm-hmm.
there's more than one thing. But I think the creative part about it is once I start with the one idea, let me pivot from that moment. Let me keep growing this idea. Let me keep working at it. And when it's time to bring it to fruition, it's ready to go. Boss Up Boot Camp was created 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago, and it never had the right potential at the right time. The potential was
Woo!
there, but at the moment, it wasn't ready to reach its fullest thing. Now we're talking about doing a 5 city tour. So it's just like it starts with just the first concept of the idea. Write it down, flush it out, create the end goal. So for Boss Up Bootcamp, what is the goal for that event? What is the goal for me being a private dining chef? What is the goal for me having a no sodium product line? Everything I had to do had to create an end game because when you're constantly working, there's nothing wrong with working hard, but I'd rather work smarter because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you work so hard that you really you're starting to create burnout. You so burnt out, but you don't have like these past 2 weeks was a burnout for me. And it's like, Jay, you don't work like this. And it still had nothing to do with me at the end of the day, too, with other people's businesses. Like, if I take a step and say, no, hold on, Josh, you have three things that you got going on. Let's go back to the drawing board so we can get things started for you. So this way we know everything that you're doing has a purpose and it has an ultimate deadline and an end goal.
I was busy writing what you were saying and writing as I'm hearing. And listen, this is what I do when I'm in a session with anybody. They'll be talking, and I'm like, I hear stuff and I hear other stuff that you're saying that you're not saying, but I'm
Yeah,
writing it down. But I definitely heard you say, like, what we are calling failure is actually bad timing.
that's good.
We are saying that we are failing in this particular area, but it's just not the right time, or
Hmm.
it does not have the right momentum, or the right, a
Yeah,
lot of the times it does not have the right person. That's what
yeah,
it is. Many times
that's
the right
good.
people to help push the vision forward, because if you get any great idea, any vision that is larger than life, it's going to take more than you to accomplish it.
Yeah,
Solo entrepreneurship should be the entry point, not the end game. And I
yeah,
love how you always begin with the end in mind with every idea, because a lot of the ideas that are coming are not always good ideas for you. It may be an idea that God has dropped in your spirit for somebody else, and you need to
yeah,
let that thing go and not
that's
put
good.
any energy and effort into it. Like I said earlier, when you're thinking, your thoughts actually take energy out of you. That's why
Hmm.
when you're thinking a whole lot, you will feel drained and not you will feel immobilized. You won't be
Yeah,
able to move. And there's so many amazing people that I know that
that's
do
good.
not move on any ideas because it's one after the other, after the other, after the other. And they don't do what you do, Chef Jay. They don't actually sit down, flesh out the plan, begin with the end in mind. I was talking about you all week. So let me tell you. So in my community this week, I was talking about how we don't spend a lot of time planning, And during that planning time, it's really prayer, prepping, and packaging. And of course,
That's
when it
good.
comes to prayer, that's you. Of course, when it comes to prepping, I was just like, I know Chef Jay. He's an amazing coach. But when it comes to prepping and creating meals for people when they come into his space, he's cutting up all the vegetables. Laying it aside. There's times even that you would pre-prep, like you would create a small dish, you would taste
Yeah.
it, you would have your mentors taste it, you would say, oh, what does this, is this good, what do you think, like all of that goes
Hmm.
into your prep time. Us as entrepreneurs don't learn from people like you and say, you know what, I need to prep. I need to
Yeah.
prep before I actually put this thing out here. I need to prep before I prep to put it out there. We don't take the time to plan. And even the packaging, when you put something out on Instagram, you are like, when it comes to your food, it is, everything is smooth out right. The mashed potatoes got the little dip, and then you
You
put the
so
stuff, and
funny.
I'm like, how you do, like I'm watching you creatively, but then it's for me as an entrepreneur, I'm like, I need to take that same principle that Chef Jay is putting out there, and I need to extract that in my business. How am I
That's so
laying this
good.
thing out? You know what I mean? Like,
You
how am
know,
I
that's
smoothing
good.
it out so people can
That's
see
good.
it? How am I making it visually appealing? You have the songs that go when you, I saw the part when you dip the spoon into the mashed potato and a song came in, and it was like, how did he line that up? Because you're
Yeah,
very intentional, and we don't
that's
take time
good.
to be intentional. That's why we're experiencing failure in the marketplace. And it's not a failure in who we are, because you're a great
Yeah.
chef if the food don't sell or do sell, but it's a failure in achieving the goal that we set out for us from the beginning.
You know, man, that was, I appreciate that because some people don't even notice the work you put in. I appreciate that. But you know what's
I
so
do.
crazy? I used to be horrible at plating up dishes. Like horrible at it. But you know, I had to
Wow.
realize too is I was thinking of myself, not the guest. So now,
That's
but I was
good.
also exposed to fine dining as well too. Sometimes the reason why your ideas aren't ready to be give birth to is because you haven't exposed to the right things and the right people to give you the perfect piece of the puzzle to make your.
Ooh.
So what happened is to when the first thing you have to always just show up, right? The first thing is, hey, I have to just show up. Once you start to show up, everything else that you need to be successful will line up. And even so when I do make food videos, like I have about 80,000 photos in my phone, and I think about 67 videos, thousand videos. So I've been collecting videos for a very long time, which is why I always have content to post. But when I
Mhm.
create my posts, I'm like, okay, how do I want people to feel? You know, how do people feel when I make this dish? And so the thing about it is too is just like you have to genuinely put your feelings into what you do. Now, it's not saying be overly emotional, but you want people to be convicted of your passion. Like,
Yes.
yo, I love everything about this. You know, the way Natalie expressed what I did for the video, I expressed my passion and my me being meticulous about what I do. I'm very particular when it comes to certain, and my boys I get on their nerves, and my guys are working me, but they know that this is how we consistently get income. This is how we get paid. So we never take time to be particular about what we put out. Now, sometimes we
Mhm.
be over particular, they never start. Sometimes you gotta put your current stuff out there because I think Instagram is like a visual journal for an entrepreneur because it
Mhm.
shows the growth and progress. Now, some stuff I see from 2 years ago, even last month, I wouldn't do over again, but I keep it up there because if my audience can see where I started from, like, yo, damn, Jay, your
Mhm.
stuff just keep cracking, you know.
Yes.
But it's like the thing about it is it shows my growth because what really draws people into you is when they see your consistency and they can see people love to know your process. And sometimes we try to have it perfected. It's like they want to just see where you are because that's encouraging for them. Like, yo, if Chef Jay can do it, if Natalie can do that, when I know her background, where they're from, I can do this too. So the whole goal is one, write the vision down, right? The ideas you have,
Mhm.
write it down. Now I'm going the think about the idea as the head, right? Think about when like you're drawing like a stick figure, right? You're drawing the head first, right? So when I draw the head, that's the idea. Now let me start building out the arms, the legs, and the feet so now I can start getting moving. Remember, Ford doesn't build a car, and they don't build a car at one time. Every part has to be created to be a moving functional piece. For a plane, they don't make a plane in one day. They take time to make each part because what happens is when you don't take time to cultivate and successfully prepare to make every part, the plane won't fly. Like if you've been to the airport and it's a mechanical failure, they're like, nah, it's not right. We can't fly until we get the surface. Because you got to think when your idea is going to be always attack other people, and you want people to thrive with your idea and your product, not to be like, oh, they gave me this product that don't work. So when it comes to your idea, you want to flesh it out so much because you got to think about it. Your idea is not just for you. Your gift is not just for you. And once you start to work and building that gift, you start to say, wait, hold on. This gift is so much bigger than me. And because it's so much bigger than me, how do I make sure that everybody attached to this will get what they need from it?
Mm. So good. So I was just writing down because I'm listening to you because you kind of give us some steps here. And so I'm just gonna recap the steps that Chef Jay gave us. And this is really to help you bounce back from failure,
Mm,
bounce back from not achieving the goals that you thought that you were supposed to, and kind of
mm,
look at failure in a different way. So the first thing you said was number one, write the vision down.
mm.
Number two, you said start where you're at because you said some people get paralyzed because they want it to be perfected before they even begin. But you got to start where you're at. Number three, aim for the end goal. You have an
Yeah,
end goal in mind, and that's where you're going towards. And number four, perfect the process along the way. So don't stay at the starting point, but perfect it along the way. When I
that's
first came
good.
into entrepreneurship, I honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship. Somebody said to me, you should be the mom CEO, one of my coaches. And that thing which I thought, which I no longer am identified by, is what started me on the trajectory of saying, I know what it's like to be a mom, but I really am not sure about the CEO. What is it that I'm missing, that although I am in this position, I am not really comfortable or knowledgeable about this position, because this is what I'm
That's
called
good.
to. So I had to study along the way. And look, I did invest in some coaches, and there were other coaches that I could not afford to invest in. I didn't
Yeah,
have the $10,000 at the time. I had three, I had 1,500, but I didn't have the 10. And so I decided to start buying books. And I have been
that's
reading
good.
at least one book a week, and not just reading, because I used to do the reading and being like, that was a good book. And somebody asked you,
And
what
not
did
the
you learn?
application.
Nothing. I learned nothing. I said, if I apply, I got this from ET. ET says he reads books, but he only, because he doesn't have the capacity. He's like, I'm not the best student in the world. What he does is he takes extract one principle out of the book, and he applies it right away. That was my goal. I said, if I can extract one principle from every chapter, then I would do it. And immediately from
That's
every
good.
single chapter, I started implementing one new skill that I've learned. My business changed over time.
That's good.
Even my voice changed over time. There was more authority in my
Yeah,
voice, that now when I get on Clubhouse, people were like, hey, this is Natalie, the clarity coach. Every time I'm in the room, they're like, the clarity coach is in the room. And I'm like, what are they talking about? Me? And it's like, yeah, girl, you've been doing this for such a long time now. I'm like, wait, when did I go from beginner to expert? I didn't even have time to think about it because I was
yeah,
just doing and implementing all the things that I was learning, that over time, people start seeing the results of what I
yeah.
was
That's it.
learning.
That's
And
it right
we
there.
don't take the time to perfect the process along the way. We want to be perfected
That's good.
as soon as we start, and it paralyzes us. This is why perfection, sometimes people are saying perfection ain't good. Don't try to aim for that. No, I aim for perfection. I know I won't be perfected in the beginning, but that's where the target is, to get to a
That's
point
good.
where it is running smoothly. The business is operating on its own, and I could just come in and go. I don't want to be in my business if I'm owning the business.
That's
So
good.
I got to be able to step outside of it and allow it to move organically without me. And how do you do that? You got to fail sometimes, a lot of times,
A
actually,
lot, yes.
a
And
lot.
I think the part about too is with failure is like failure definitely is an option. And I think the thing about that too is like people look
Yes.
at failure as such a bad thing, but every time I failed at something, I learned. And I think that's the missing element about living life and being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is fun, but it's also hard. You're not going to pass. You're not going to pass every test. That's just the open, honest truth about it. But sometimes when you fail, you learn a whole new strategy. Like even to like I remember this is one test that I had failed, and I really needed to learn this information. I took it like 3 times, but I got it. And guess what? It made me a better student because I learned different strategies of it. So once you really take time to be invested in success, the failures don't even weigh the same weight anymore. Because at the end of
Woo!
the day, I know that I'm called to be successful in this area, that I'm going to take the time to build and work hard toward it. No matter how it looks, I'm still going to be invested in the process. The more, and I think that's the biggest part about it. The reason why I'm happy that everything isn't always like successful, I'll say that, is because sometimes when you're always so used to winning in that avenue, you really don't take into account the lesson behind it because there's
Mm-hmm.
always a lesson in it. And when you have such always an easy, smooth transition, you miss the opportunity to grow because you never learned in that situation. There's certain things where I failed at, and I'm like, yo, I wasn't good at this, but I'm going to be better at it. When I started learning how to do balloons and backdrops, my stuff was raggedy. But you know what though? My friend Tashana from She Rocks the Course, she took time to show me and teach me. So now I I know a lot more that it creates success in my business, and now I can offer that service to a client. Some things you got to work at. You can't just have it automatically. Oh, I'm successful at it. Here I am. But now it's like, hey, you know what? That wasn't so successful. Let me take the time. Let me take the steps to really to learn the material because once you're exposed to something, somebody can unexpose you to this. So, like again, in 2020, when I started traveling a lot of with my mentors up there now, looking for them, like I've been in big houses before, but I wasn't chilling in mansions like that. On a daily, consistent basis. I've been exposed to people with nice budgets before, but not to hey, take my Amex card, get what you need.
Hey.
So the more consistent you are with working towards your purpose, you start to find out that the resources become unlimited. So before,
Ooh.
I had people paying when I first started. I was charging $10 a cake like a fool, but I didn't know. I thought I was making money. I had $10. I had $100. Now it's if I get 10 orders, you looking at maybe like almost $15,000 to $20,000. So, but it took me stepping out on faith and doing it. It doesn't the path. I feel like when the Bible talks about he's the light, he's a lamp into my path. No, a lamp
Mm-hmm.
into my path, a light into my feet. Is that what it is? Or
Mm-hmm.
I forget
No, you got
Anyway,
it right.
if it says light into
You
my
got it
feet,
right.
I said right, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the Bible scholar anymore like I used to, but you are. But when it says a lamp unto my feet, think about it. It didn't say a lamp unto my head, but a lamp to my feet. And what you think about it, sometimes in life, you mainly can only see each step. And it's like what I've learned to not to. I always like to see the big vision, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have the vision, but sometimes the reason why preparation is key because sometimes you can only see one step, 2 step, 3 step, and when you're really thinking about your vision and purpose, like man, I would love to see the whole path. Yo, God, light up the whole tunnel for me. But it's just like I'm appreciative of just lighting each step I take
Mm-hmm.
because what happened is that means I'm one step closer to getting where I need to be. I may not be able to see all the manifestation. I may not be able to see everything that's working out for me, but I know that because you gave me this vision, you're going to be the light unto my feet. And I'm going to be thankful that I can see every step ahead of me. If I can just see one step, I know I'll make it closer. I know I want to see the whole path, but sometimes your path won't be lit in entrepreneurship. You
Mm-hmm.
got to take one step and just celebrate the one step until you get further.
I like that you talked about celebrating the one step, and I immediately thought about when I was a teacher and I gave my kids too much information. What it did was paralyze them because they were now trying to figure out how can like if they saw the whole thing lit up, if they saw
Mm-hmm.
everything in on the side of the path lit up, now they would try to figure out because their senses would be so overstimulated. They will be trying to figure
Yeah.
out, oh my gosh, what's behind that tree, or what's going on over there? Or, how do I get from here to all the way over there? I see like a brick or a big old, thing blocking the way. Like that's how you think. And you don't realize that you only get what you need, especially when you are an entrepreneur that believe in God leading and guiding your steps, as you were talking, that
Yeah.
if you see more than you're required to, that it will overstimulate you, and that will also cause paralysis. There are
Yeah.
times in your entrepreneurial journey that you will get paralysis. Like when I went to a coach and they were like, okay, I went through coaching and she's amazing. I'm not going to be lie to you. My coach was phenomenal. But what happened to me was, because I had gotten all of the information within a short period of time, it paralyzed me. And I
Yeah.
was unable to move forward, because now I was thinking, how do I get to step 8? I'm only on step 1. She said, I also need something for step 7. And step 3, I need something. And although I know as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, as a teacher myself, I should start with 1, then 2, then 3, I abandoned that part of the project because I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not ready to even take on any of it. And it took me going another route and then having to come back this way. When if
Yeah.
I was just focused on one step at a time, it would have been easier for me to be like, okay, this week, tell me what to implement. When I'm done, I'll come back to you for the second week, because I'm done implementing that. And we have to realize who we are,
Mm.
how we learn is important, so that when
Yeah.
we move forward, it's easier for us. It's not going to
Yeah.
necessarily be, you can have 17 people taking the same blueprint, but the pace at which each person takes that blueprint might be different. So you have to really
Yeah.
learn yourself on this journey so you can adjust. But one thing I have to say
Yeah.
that you said that was like so phenomenal, I have to say, I put it in the chat: failure doesn't hold the same weight anymore. That right
That's
there,
good. That's good.
that
That's
you
good.
said that. I
Oh,
wanted
I
you
just,
to expound. You said that, not me. I didn't
yeah,
say
okay, they
that.
be dropping. I'm like, but I think that's the
That
biggest
was
part about it.
you.
And I think why I realized that it doesn't have the same standard, because I think in this life, you start to find out that, like, I'll give you a good example. I can say my favorite color is blue, but they're like 10 to 15 shades of blue. So it's
Mm,
like, what is your favorite color in that? Because what happens too is everything isn't always as it seems. You know, where I've learned that, hey, I get that it's not where I want it to be, but you know what though? I'm grateful that, let me see what I can take out of there to turn it into a positive moment for me. Because everything is not as it appears to look. And I like that when you were talking about earlier, we were just talking about how basically, like, how when it comes to failure, you know, it's just like sometimes people get stuck. You get
mhm.
stagnated. And I had this one student who had ADHD, and I would tell him, I said, hey, I asked him, do you feel like you're stupid? And he was like, Chef, why would you ask him like that? I said, no, I'm asking, do you feel like you're stupid? He said, no, I'm not. I said, do you feel like, you're limited because you have a disability? He said, well, yeah, I do. I said, so now question. I know in class you don't always answer stuff because, then he said, Chef, I do feel stupid sometimes. I said, but to whom? Because just because you don't get the material, I can just show it to you a different way. Because I seen you as it relates to this. He used to sell drugs, so I said, I see how you make money selling drugs. I've experienced that side of you. I see like how you move, like how you did that. I saw him one time like passing by. I saw he just did this whole situation and like apply the same principle to the classroom because you can have
Ooh.
like success can't be bookwork. But I'm telling you, if you pair that street smart with the way you think and the way you receive information, you'll be able to pass my class and be so successful. And once he actually ended up stop dealing with doing some drugs and started his own business. But the whole goal was sometimes we feel like we're not ready for that, or we're not smart enough for that, we're not good enough for that, or we don't deserve to be in that room. But it said you, because you got to think the people in that room may have felt the same way years ago. I don't deserve to be in this room. I don't deserve this. But what I realize is I deserve whatever God says I deserve. I
Mhm.
deserve whatever I say I deserve. When it comes to really manifesting, living life you want to live, you have to be determined to say, hey, whatever I set my mind to do, I can do it. Whatever I see I want, I can have it because all it takes is creating a visionary blueprint. Once I have the
Yep.
idea, all I have to do is create a plan in place for me to get it. There has never been a millionaire in my family, but I will be the first. And
Let's
not because
go.
because I want to be, no, because that's where I belong to be. Because if I want to help people the way I want to help people, I need money.
Let's
You
go.
know, I want to be able to send people to school debt free. Like that, like one of my students cannot go back to school because she did not have the money. She was like $27,000. It pained me so bad because I'm like, Josh, you're supposed to be in a place
Mm-hmm.
that can be able to bless that person that left. Not because it's just for me. Like we're blessed to be a blessing. And yeah, of course, I want to have the stuff. I like nice things, but I also like to bless people with nice things. So when you really start to realize that failure is going to make you pivot to another level, don't
Yeah.
be so burdened down by disappointment because when you take that level of moment of disappointment, don't make it to a lifelong journey. You know, some people get sad about stuff that was a 30-second like offensive moment when it's like, hey, let me get my defense up because this is not supposed to take me down because I know that I'm more than
Mm-hmm.
a conqueror. I know that I'm successful. I know I'm the head and not the tail, above and not beneath. So when I start reminding myself of who I am, I have to start telling my old self that, hey, the old Josh was a loser in that area, but in this season, I'm a winner. In this season, I'm
Mm-hmm.
manifesting success. I'm manifesting abundance. I'm manifesting that I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. And if you're not a believer, just know you can do all things. You know, like the thing I appreciate about, and it's kind of sad though, like think about like, Hitler, right? People like that. The fact that you created a culture and you create a whole movement on harming people, imagine what he could have did if he took that same energy and passion and motivated people to do better in life. It's just like your gifting can work two ways. It can work
Mm-hmm.
in a positive way, or like people have influence, but sometimes people can negatively influence you or positive influence you. So when I wrote about myself, I'm like, Jay, you have influence over people. So how are we going to use your influence today? If you keep working on helping people, the resources will always come because I'm in purpose operating to help people see the best version of themselves. So because I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing that and I'm sowing that seed, God will always make sure I'm taken care of.
I just have one quick thing because you brought it up. I was gonna be like, nope, I'm not gonna talk about it. But when you talked about Hitler, the thing about it is people don't realize, and I don't think believers realize it too, um, that there are fundamental truths, these principles that you talk about, that are
Mhm.
being extracted not just from the Bible, but from people's lives, and that are being applied in different areas. That
Yeah,
if you, like you just told the young man, extract the principles that you're using as you're selling drugs and bring those same principles into the classroom, and you're
mhm.
going to see the same acceleration you've seen on the
Yeah,
streets in your class. And people don't realize the principles don't bow down to anybody. If you apply it, they will work. That's why
yeah,
a lot of business owners, Christian or not, use these biblical principles to make money. They understand the principle, universal principle of sowing and reaping, just like we
yeah,
understand the principle of gravity, what goes up must come down. Like they understand that. So if you understand these fundamental principles, apply it to your life, believer or not, and you're going to see results. Now, as Christians, of course, we want everybody to be a believer. We do. That's our thing. We want everybody to be a believer. As a business owner, we want everybody to be a believer. So we're going to tell you the principles, regardless of what you're attached to, that's going
mhm.
to bring you prosperity.
Yeah,
Principles don't bow down to nobody. And we keep
yeah.
getting it twisted, thinking that it's going to bow down to, and no, it doesn't bow. You work it, and the principle will come back to you.
That's true.
You work it. And hopefully, I'm not even talking to the non believers, but to believers, I hope that sets you free because you keep thinking, I'm just going to put Jesus on it. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus on it. And you're not applying any principles and you're
Yeah,
not seeing results. And then you're blaming God. And then the non believer, you keep saying God. And then the non believer, like, well, your God ain't doing nothing. I'm
so
going to
all I
go with
want to
these principles over here. You know
yeah,
what I mean? I'm going to go with these principles because the principles are doing stuff and you keep saying Jesus and you still broke
yeah.
because you're not
That's
applying the
true.
principles. You're not allowing it to serve where it's
Yeah,
supposed to be serving or serve you. So that's a whole nother tangent. But I
But you
just
know,
want to
so
say,
I agree with you. And I agree with you. And I think what
yeah,
happened is too is what I've learned that principles always work. I'll get
yes,
like like if you sow, you're going to reap, right? If
exactly.
you give, it shall be given back to you good measure. So one thing about giving, I think too, is it comes in different forms. So for me, is like when I look at my business and I look at how I've had to evaluate a lot of stuff because the reason why some things don't work is because I haven't sowed a seed. The reason why some things
Mm-hmm.
haven't worked is because you want people to come to your event, but you'll never come to nobody else's event. You know, like you can't expect support when you don't give support. Like it's so crazy because even to like I started business when I was 10, so this is a year, 22 years of doing business, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when people actually support their business, I'm like, you've had 22 years times 365 days to support my business. So it's like, and you've known this stuff, so don't be so quick to want me to support you, don't support me, right? So I realized she was like, hey, you have to create a culture, you have to cultivate an atmosphere where
Mm-hmm.
you don't expect me just to give to you, but you so into them as well too. Like
Yes.
some other entrepreneurs, if I have a little extra, like I pray about it, oh my God, who you want me to sow a seed into? And I'll cash app like another business just because I just know that, hey, one, I want to be blessed to them. I know that the principle is, you reap what you sow. So I sow goodness to
Mm-hmm.
people. I try to watch what I have my mouth on. I try to make sure that I create an atmosphere where I send blessings to people in their business. So it comes a point where it's just like the moment when you start reflecting on why you failed, you start to realize maybe I didn't give enough. Maybe I
Yeah.
didn't sow to other people. Maybe I didn't take time to plan. Maybe I rushed into it. Maybe I wasn't fast enough to act. Because some things you miss out because you're not fast enough to take hold of.
Mm-hmm.
I'm done, Ellie. Sorry.
Oh no, that was good. I thought you were still going. My bad. But that was good. Like he said it. And there's another principle where you not reap what you sow, but your words are powerful. What you speak,
Yeah.
you will see. So you
Yeah.
got to understand that these principles are applying to your life. If you keep speaking chaos and that's all you're seeing, is because you're speaking that into the
And it's not one
atmosphere.
thing, it's another.
You know what I mean?
All that stuff. Man,
So you,
I'm just taking step
yeah.
by step.
Exactly. So we're just excited. Listen, this is just a taste. We are continuously evolving and creating
Yeah.
content and gathering information to help entrepreneurs level up and go to that 6 figure, 7 figure mark in their business because we're doing
Yes.
it first. And so we are creating this atmosphere and this environment where entrepreneurs get to boss up all the
Yes.
time. Listen, the community is coming and we're starting with this conference on Saturday. So if you want to be a part of it, if you are still like, maybe, maybe not, if your plans got canceled, Juneteenth is rained out for you, holla at us. Come on out if you're in Jersey City. If you can't make it in the natural, show up on Zoom. I wasn't even going to say
Yes.
the spiritual. Show up on Zoom. Go
Yeah,
click
no,
the
it's gonna be
link in
dope.
our bios, yes, and get on and the conference with us for the day because we're going to have some amazing guest speakers. We're going to have some things that are going to help take you to the next level in your business, and we are applying this and we're seeing success in our own businesses as well.
And this is not for faith. I think a lot of people like the sound of coaching, but if you know what goes into
Hmm.
coaching people and the wear and tear it puts on the coach, whereas like, a lot of people have issues. And I think too is what we do is we help you move past your issue to go
Yes,
into your
I like
wealthy
that.
place, to go into your place of happiness. So it's a privilege for us to coach people. It's a privilege for us to
Hmm.
help people see the way God sees you. So it's a because sometimes people see us bigger than what we are, what we feel like we are, when it's like no, they see it like that for a reason. Sometimes people are assigned to you to see you bigger than what you see yourself because they pull out something and you're like, wow, I didn't even know that this is this is how you really see me. My
Yes.
clients say like, Jeff, we think this up. I'm like, wow, like I'm just here just trying to pay my rent this month. Like y'all see me like that, so the whole goal we want to help so many people out. We want to reach lives, and we're just so happy that you guys joined us today. But we want you to realize that
Thank you.
everyone needs a coach. Everyone needs to get
Yes,
mentorship because no matter how old you are,
we
mentorship
have
helps
them.
you to the next level. So once again, we have the Boss Up Weekend that's coming up this weekend. There are virtual tickets and stuff you want to buy something for online. with in-person tickets, and it's still 50% off. Okay, so we want to see you there. We want to see you in the building, and it's just time to elevate and grow. We're gonna have such a dope time. Like I'm like when I say I'm so excited about the lineup because I just know what these people have to say, and I'm just blessed to have my friend Natalie coming up all the way from Georgia, and we're gonna have a dope time. So listen,
Yes, we
we want
are.
you to stay healthy, stay blessed, stay prosperous. If you don't connect with us, click the link in our bio. We are dropping the Boss Up community very, very soon. So we'll have more information about that. So listen, fam, have a good day of purpose. We speak blessings over you. We speak that you will have the best week of your life. You will manifest whatever you want to see because if you see it, you can get it. If you believe it,
Ooh,
you have everything you put your mind to. And that's it. So before
benediction. Amen.
all right, guys, have a good week, fam.